Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. This is Hidden, and I am live from a hotel room in London, UK. Yes, I traveled today to London to look at some fun stuff, markets, Compton, Borough, whatnot. But let's remind ourselves why inspiring conversations are and why I'm doing this. So, inspiring conversations are all about creating conversations that really matter. We are diving into ways to connect deeply, break down barriers, and build moments that inspire trust and growth, whether it's with your team at work or in your everyday chats, will bring more positivity, realness, and impact into every conversation. So, today, my guest is in Vancouver, and the time there is 8:20, 8:30, I think. And I am pretty satisfied that I had the chance to chat to this guy because his life story is amazing and inspiring. Hello, Mr. McQueen.
Hello, how are you doing?
Well, I'm fine now because I was wondering if you had slept over. So you are in Vancouver.
Yes, I'm calling you from Vancouver today. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm fine. But what about you? It's more about you. You are the star.
Well, I've got some technical issues this morning. My microphone broke off the stand, so I'm holding it in my hand now. So hopefully you can hear me okay. Is it okay? Does it sound
I,
okay?
I can hear you as well. I can hear you, so that's fine. Thank you very much. It's better that you are here, but I hope that your mic didn't get into your eye. What happened to you? Like, are you just?
Oh, that's to counteract the double vision I've got. So I've got double vision still from the brain injury, and that's so I can look at you and not see two of you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're a fantastic gentleman, but two of you is a lot to handle. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
oh, yeah, I can really understand that, Dan. So that would be horrifying if you should watch me twice. So, Dan, we have to start with just the introduction. Who is Dan MacQueen and how did we get acquainted? Like why are we talking to each other today?
Yeah. So who's Dan McQueen? Well, that's a great question and a loaded one. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a brain injury survivor. I'm a sportsman. I'm a Canucks fan. Doldrums of the Canucks seasons right now. But I'm trying to make an impact in this world and share perspective and shift how you view the world. How we got connected, I believe, was on Podmatch, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that is absolutely true. So like you are trying to change the world, but when when did this happen? That because you're saying like you are a survivor of a brain injury, like what happened?
Yeah, well, let me just back up a second here. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to change the way you look at the world.
Yes, right. Sorry, sorry,
So
sorry, sorry.
let's not be too grandiose in what I'm trying to accomplish, but
You never
change the way
know.
you look at the world, right? So my story takes back in London, England. I was having
I am
headaches, getting
okay.
worse
Yeah.
over a few weeks, pretty poorly. Taking painkillers like candy feels my head was pounding. Headaches got so bad I was on the tube one day. The tube's like a zigzag around London, lumbering towards Nine Hill Gate tube station on the district line. Headaches got so bad my vision turned starry and I saw spots. My slowly started to fade to black. It was a race as you could arrive at the station first, mirror the blindness. Stepped on to Nine Hill Gate tube station, mind the gap. And the lights went out. The curtain dropped. I couldn't see a thing. So I want to ask you, able-studied guy your whole life, all of a sudden you're thrust into the depths of blindness on a tube station in London. What do you think? What do you feel? What do you do?
I think I would shout and say, "Help me! I can't see anything."
That's a good response. I did not take that route. I decided to stand there stoically and just freeze and think and think and think. After the longest 3 minutes of my life, my vision came back, and I carried on my day. But the next day, I went storming back into A&E. Now, A&E is accident emergency in the UK, like ER in North American terms, and maybe elsewhere in Europe as well.
Yeah.
I told them what had happened to me, and I said, what's going on here? I was blind on a tube station in London. This is not normal. They ran some more tests, and again, they thought it was vertigo. They sent me home. On the way out, they told me I could always get my eyes checked by an optometrist. Optometrist, that's kind of odd, but I'm not a doctor. I don't plan to play one now. Sure, why not? So the next day, I found myself in Mr. Patel's chair. He was midway through a routine exam when he stops the exam, excused himself in the room, and he comes back a few minutes later with a sealed envelope which he handed to me. He told me to go directly to Moorfields Hospital, which I did. Well, tell a lie. I stopped at home first to grab a Jack Reacher book by the child, a phone charger, and a bite to eat. Arrived at Moorfields Hospital, handed him the envelope. They ran the same test there again, then escalated me up to Charing Cross Hospital. We're getting somewhere. I'm thinking, this is positive. This is a good thing, right? Now, it turns out I had a dangerous buildup of pressure in my brain caused from a non-cancerous cyst in my pineal gland. Turns out I required emergency brain surgery tomorrow. Turns out my life changed in an instant. So after a frantic back and forth with folks in Canada, the last text message my mom received reads, "I'll see you soon, Mom. Think I'll have a new haircut next time I see you. Love, Dan." So Mom's in the air flying to London on June 21st, 2014. I'm on the operating table. Something goes horribly wrong, and I have a massive bleed in the brain, a brain hemorrhage. I think the cyst burst when they operated. Mom lands and finds I'm in critical condition. I was in a coma for 4 weeks, but was in and out of consciousness for months after this. Things were pretty dicey, touch and go. When all was said and done, I was learning to walk, talk, and smile again. And that's kind of where my story kicks off there.
And how old were you in, like, we are talking about 11 years ago?
28.
Like, what flew through your head when this was happening? Like, did life just pass you by, or did you or were you just like, well, I'm 28, nothing will happen? Like, because when we are 28, we are
Invincible.
living the life, we are doing, like, we are preparing to be grown-ups, or
Yeah, so I messaged my brother, and he was like, "Yeah, you were super chill about the whole thing. You said you were going into brain surgery." And that was by intentionality because I didn't want to let him know that I was scared. But brain
yeah.
surgery is not a casual thing, right? So I was a bit worried that this could be curtains for me. And it was supposed to all go smooth, and then that brain hemorrhage happened, and it all went pretty sideways on me. So I woke up 4 weeks later, my mom, dad, and brother on the bed. I'm trying to talk, but I can't talk. My vocal cords are fried from the tracheotomy. And I go, "Get me a pen and paper." And I write down the pen and paper, "Get me out of here." And I show it to my brother Cam, and I point to him, "You make this happen." And he's like, "What do you want me to do?" I was in I had one eye wonky as hell. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair at this stage. Still hooked up to 13 tubes and hoses, and life went sideways in an instant, and it came really, crashing down around me, and I realized, this is life now, and laid in the suck for a little while, and it was pretty humbling.
It must have been, if it, like, when I think about this, and as a father and as a parent, like, how poor things, and being so far away and not know, like, how have you talked with them about the situation when this happened, or how Like, do you know their state of mind? Like, have you? Because this is any parent's worst nightmare. Even though you would have been 60 years old and your parents were still alive. Like, do you have a recollection of discussing this, or have you discussed it on a later term?
We've talked about it for sure. We've talked about it. And it was very, very scary for my parents. And the last text this was all communicated over text messaging, right? And when we
Yeah.
went in the air flying to London, right? That's when I had the coma. I was in the coma. My dad had to call my mom before she arrived at the hospital to let her know what had happened. So they got dropped in the deep end as soon as I landed in London, and just like, things were dire straits. I was in critical condition. They were told I may not make this. And lots of appreciation and gratitude for them who had endured and went through for that. Can only imagine how scary that would be. Meanwhile, I'm just in the coma. I don't really know what's happening, right? I'm kind of out to lunch here.
Yeah.
But it kicked off in a matter of, one day healthy acting, the next day clinging to life in a coma, and then 4 weeks later I wake up from the coma and being told, hey, Dan, this is what happened to you. This is your new reality now. This is life. Now, you're still alive, but you've got a long road ahead to get back to where you want to be. And, it took a while to get my head around that and to come to terms with what had happened and to make peace with that and to slowly start building myself back up to myself and what I could do. And so in order to walk, I had to wear a splint over my left leg. My leg had frozen at an angle from the coma. So to wear a splint 1 hour a night. Now the splint was this little cast over your leg to gently stretch the leg muscle back into place. That's what they told me, right?
Yeah.
The first night I wore the splint through the night, no issue, no stress. This will be easy. I thought this will be easy. Hinting it's not going to be easy, right? Second night, after 20 minutes, it was painful. After 30 minutes, it was dreadful. After 40 minutes, it was unbearable. I buzzed the nurse. Take the splint off my leg because I can't handle the pain. But I told them before they left, tomorrow we're going to do this for an hour. I'm going to walk where I can handle the pain. Big talk, right? So the third night, they wrapped the leg, tied off the ankle. Give me the clicker, the nurse call button. We'll patrol the Wilson ward. Now the Wilson ward was an L shape, so short on this side, long on this side, right? Short on this side, long on this side. Left in that hospital that smells like only a hospital can smell. Sanitized, sterilized. It's clean, but you're wondering what sort of atrocities have been committed to the guys that lemony zestness. After 10 minutes, the leg's painful. After 20 minutes, the leg's dreadful. After 30 minutes, the leg's unbearable. I start passing the clicker back and forth, trying to distract myself from the pain. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing the eye patch today to counteract the dull vision I've got. Wasn't wearing this at the time, so I'm just groping at this clicker going back and forth. As the pain ratchets up, my throats got more enthusiastic. Till eventually, inevitably, I drop the clicker and it lands on the hard aluminum floor 3.5 feet down on the ground. Sugar, I say. I did not say sugar. Looked over the edge of the bed. There's the clicker there lying on the floor looking back at me. If I get that clicker, I can stop this pain. I can end this monstrosity. Only problem was, a fall from that height might break my arm. In fact, I figured about a 50-50 chance of breaking my arm. A coin flip. Not the best odds. I changed tack. I'm trying to untie the splint, but it's tied up at the ankle, not at the hip. I can't reach that far down. I'm not that flexible. Help. Help, I yell. But the one the wolf was an L shape, right? Short on this side, long on this side. Short on this side, long on this side. They're at the far end of the ward. They can't hear me yelling for help. So I'm going to flip the coin. Drop off the bed. Even if I break my arm, the splint's got to come on my leg. That's part number 1, 2, and 3. Lower myself off the edge of the bed. Crash down in absolute heat. Blankets, wires, cables, all go. The arm holds. And I hammer the clicker, expecting the nurse to come bursting into the room like the bat signal's been put up. They kind of stroll in 5 minutes later. What are you doing on the floor, love? First of all, I say, that's a fantastic British accent you have there. Where'd you say you're from again? No, I did not say that either. But I told him, let's split up my head quiz. I'll tell you all about this. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters, right? It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. The reason why I'm telling you this story So I learned 3 lessons from the experience. The first lesson being, let's not pass the clicker back and forth. That's a bad idea. The second lesson was let's tie the splint up at the hip, not the ankle. That way I can untie this should this happen going forwards. And the third lesson was let's always be solutions oriented for this moving forwards. When things go sideways in life, which yours or more, and they will, let's focus on a solutions-based approach. How do you fix your problem? How do you resolve your issue? And that got me to walk in the hallways of the Wolfson on the Zimmer frame, lurching forward with the splint on my leg. Very painful. Moved up to the Ferrari. Now, Ferrari was a 4-wheeled walker in Ferrari racing red, so I called it my Ferrari. Then I moved up to naked walks. Now, what's a naked walk, you may ask? I'm walking without sport aids. I'm walking naked. When I told friends and family I was going for a naked walk, they were so baffled by what I was saying that the reaction was so good, I kept the term up, right? One last story, and then I'll turn it back over to you there, sir. Then came to a walk in Tooting Broadway. So can I ask you, have you been to London, England?
Me?
Yes.
I am in London, England now.
Oh, of course you are now. Have you been to Tooting Broadway?
No.
Okay. So Tooting Broadway is an area in South London. An area they call up and coming. Think loud sirens, drugs, gangs. It's dirty, it's hectic, and boy is it busy. I'm walking with a cane, I'm walking with an eye patch. After 4 months in a wheelchair, I'm really Bambi on ice. I turn the corner to walk on the high street for the first time. Immediately get slammed into by someone. Stagger back a few feet. Someone scurries past me on the right-hand side. I thought I was done with the rats. Someone had been stabbed on the sidewalk over here. I'm thinking this is a pretty wild place to learn how to walk. After a few days, I was thinking this is the worst place to learn how to walk in the world.
Yes.
Can't they see I'm trying here? And then one day my perspective shifted. Maybe this is the worst place to learn how to walk in the world. No, maybe it's the best. If I can walk here, I can walk anywhere. Now, Tooting Broadway didn't change, right? But I went from the worst to the best in my mind, and my mood reflected that. What are you looking at in your life you're convinced is the worst? Convinced is the absolute worst. Hey, maybe it is. Maybe you can find a way to turn down the suck a little bit, shift that perspective a little bit. Iron Mike Tyson famously said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Now, your punch may not be a brain hemorrhage, right? Facts. Will be a job loss, breakup, a diagnosis for you or a loved one. You will take that punch in the mouth. How do you respond? I'm offering a compass, not a map, but a compass. It always points towards true north. Look at things like mindset, perspective, and hacks. Hacks that will allow you and your team to better than yesterday, tomorrow. My name is Dan MacQueen, and the reason why I told you that story about learning to walk in Tooting Broadway is when you change the way you look at the world you look at changes. And you don't need a brain hemorrhage to understand that. So that's a whole machine gun fire of information at you there, but hopefully it gives you something to dive off on.
Well, Rap Bassi, who has been, he's an avid listener to this podcast or sessions, and he's here in the UK, and he says, brave does not begin to describe your experience. While in pain, did you ever consider, he asked, that waking up was worse than being in a coma?
That's an interesting question. I think some people have asked me, how do you keep going in this situation? And I'm like, I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, how do you not? You know, the odds of you being a human being are 400 trillion to 1, right? 400 trillion to 1. That's a staggering number of zeros. I had to look that up. I'm only Dan MacQueen because this blip was in my DNA. I'm only alive because this was a part of me. Without it, I'm not me. And I wouldn't change myself for the world. So how did I keep going? You know, I got better than yesterday every day. I started thinking about how I can reframe and prioritize and to build myself back up. And it wasn't easy, but it was simple. Simple to make the choice to keep going, to keep fighting, and to keep living. And that's not always easy to do or easy to say, but once you make that mindset shift in your mind, I'm just not going to stop. And, you know, you hit ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and you keep going when you get a setback. And It's not easy to always live this mindset of continually trying to improve and to chase it down, but what's the alternative, right? I'm alive. I get a chance. I get to do this. Every day I get to do this. And it's not easy, but it's simple. And it's a privilege to do this. Because with a brain injury, many people maybe don't know, but like the prognosis is very different. Like your recovery is based on how bad your injury was. I'm lucky that my injury allowed me to come back to where I'm at today. Maybe your injury doesn't allow you to do that, and that's very unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to maximize what I can do and what I can be, because I get to wring the life out of this rag that I've got now, and I'm going to wring it out every day, always, forever.
But prior, like this is okay. Nobody can put himself like I can't even put myself in this situation. So, do you think that before you had the how can you say it, like stamina or determination or like what was it? Was it something that your parents had taught you or like how is it that a 28-year-old waking up from a coma in massive pain didn't just say to himself, "Oh my, like let us end this. I don't want this." Like what was it that do you think that you had anything prior in your DNA? Like, because this is just amazing.
Yeah,
Dan.
I think that's a good question and a good perspective on that. I think I've always been pretty stubborn and pretty prove you wrong kind of guy.
Yeah.
Undersized, dating girls well above my league and out of my area of expertise, but I had to believe in myself that I could do this, and I knew that hard work works. My dad instilled in me at a young age, like I was very bad at math, so I went to math tutorials in the morning before school started and grinding my way through math class and realized that worked. It sucked, but it worked. And I realized that if you just commit to something, if you just dive into it full steam, you can progress and develop and improve. And probably a lot of stubbornness is involved as well. I'm very bullheaded, but I think that's why I'm here today, because I was stubborn and not going to settle for a life that I've been given, but it's the life that I can get and achieve and chase. So I'm chasing every day now. I'm chasing the life I want, not settling for the life I've got. And I think that's something that you can grow and flex and build. Resilience is a muscle you can develop for sure, but I think you have to have some of that involved in your DNA initially and just foster that growth, foster that grind, foster that build.
Amazing. Amazing. And then it bring us to the topic. Like you have win the unexpected. Building resilience in the face of adversity. And boy, oh boy, you like you have checked all the boxes. So how is it? Because adversity is so individual, isn't it? And like how do you teach it? How do you tell others how they can build anything when they're facing because I like well, my first initial thought, Dan, is just like, I think I would just have said, okay, thank you, nice. I'm, I'm done. I'm out. Like, how do you? Because it's a beautiful thing that you're doing in your website. Like, you are playing with the words, like, win the unexpected. So, and how do you teach people, or like, how can we give? How can you give? And because do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, I
we
hear
are,
what you're saying here. It's a good question. It's not as complicated as you may think. So Alex Hormozy says you don't get confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You get confident by doing what you say you're going to do over and over again.
okay,
So
yeah,
I'm very true to my word now. So I go in the pool. I'll give you a couple examples to showcase how this translates into life. I swim 3 times a week in the pool, and I do 40, 50, 60, 70 lengths. And I've got a lap counter which counts my laps, and I owe those lengths no matter what, save one exception. We'll save 2 exceptions. If there's a backstroke on my lane, I can punt the lanes entirely and go directly in the sauna. I got no time for backstrokers, but that's a special thing with me. And yesterday we had the pool shut down. They ran out of lanes and I went back to swimming lessons. So I had to cut the swim short yesterday and jump in the sauna. But besides those two exceptions, I've done the allotted lengths I owe for years. But it started with days, weeks, months, and years, and it compounds over time. I've got a new one that I use now in the sauna. So I go in the sauna. It's not the most hot sauna. It's a public sauna, so it's in Canada, so it's not crazy hot like the Finnish or Swedish ones. But I go in the sauna, and aside in the sauna, I'm not the next one out of the sauna. I'm in there for 10 minutes. I'm sweating buckets. I'm at my wit's end, but I'm not the next one out of the sauna. And I breathe, and I breathe, and I focus. And who's the next one out? Not me. Someone will leave, and I'm right behind them, but I'm never the next one out of the sauna. Now, I've lost that game once over the past, since I've been here for the past 3 months. I had some older Asian lady lie down in the sauna, and it was just me and her in the sauna. And I go, I can beat her. But the lie down sauna users are always the ones you have to be wary of. They're very, very stoic and very attuned to the sauna usage. So I lost that bout with her. But besides that, I keep that promise to myself every day. And you just stack this. Like you pick something small that you can aim and hit, and you ratchet it up after days, weeks, months, and years. And before you know it, you're resilient because you do what you say you're going to do. Resiliency is all about looking in the mirror and being like, you know what, I do what I say I'm going to do. There's no question if I'm going to do it because I've done it day in, day out. One last example, and I'll open it back to you up. I cold shower every day for 3 minutes. Nothing heroic here in Vancouver. It's 3 minutes in the cold, which is not that cold in the summertime. Well, in the spring now. In the winter, it's pretty abrasive, but now it's not so bad. But at 3 minutes of cold, and I do it every day to prove that I can do hard things. And I do that. I've done that for years. And every day I start the day off with a win. I know I can do hard things. By building that one stack of evidence, turns to 2, turns to 5, turns to 10, turns to 20. I don't question if I can do it. I know I've done it over the past years, so I can do it every day. So start small, aim small, miss small, and just start stacking those wins. And you can foster resilience in yourself. But don't pick something so huge off the hop that you might fail. Pick something you can win and start building momentum. Momentum's so key for this, right?
Yeah.
If you have momentum going on your side, it's a very powerful tool. But if you have momentum going in your favor, man, you can accomplish a lot.
But again, like Rap Bassi, he comes again with a question, and he is asking, how do you or how did you accept the new you? My question is like how long did it take you to accept the new reality? And he says it sounds like more than stubborn. Your conscience limited by your new body, or like how long did it take you to? Yeah, it's a legit question, isn't it? Like yes, you're stubborn, but there is a whole new thing that you had to, like, 28, you're in the prime, and then shit happens. Like how it must have taken you. You did not wake up and say like, okay, I'm going to survive, or like adjustments. How long did it take you to adjust to this new situation, new body, and everything?
Yeah, it wasn't overnight. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't an overnight thing, but it was. I kind of realized, like, look, you've survived this brain injury, which could have killed you easily.
Yeah.
And now it's what you make of it because you're alive in a poor way, not doing so well, couldn't walk, talk, or smile for the first few months. And I slowly realized that I've been gifted enough to have a second chance at life. So I'm going to try and make the most of it. Acceptance is a very key word for this, right? Acceptance is something the comment was brought up, and that's huge for this. Acceptance is the most important thing. If you don't accept your reality, you can't improve it. It may not be fair, it may not be just, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
New table stakes are what it is. And if you don't accept those table stakes, you're not playing with a real game. You have to accept it and then adapt to it. So acceptance hurts because you're like, you don't know my story, Dan. And you're right, I don't know your story. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, acceptance is the most important fact you can get to, and is the hardest thing to overcome. Once you accept it, you can understand, okay, I'm limited here and here. I can adapt to those situations by doing these new activities. But acceptance is the most important thing to foster and to build in your mindset to allow you to navigate this change successfully.
Do you recall, because you're saying for the 3 months you didn't smile, or the three things you mentioned. When did your those who are closest to you, when did they realize that you were going to beat this? You were going to be like a role model, or when did they like? Yes. Do you know what I'm
I
getting
get what you're
at?
saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it was look, it's an ongoing thing, right? I'm not out of the woods yet, and I work up every day with an intention to build myself up better than I was. But in the hospital, my friend said it was never a chore to visit me because I was never pissed or downtrodden in the hospital. I was always chipper and upbeat. It was me putting on a face and being brave and putting a smile on. But I knew that no one wants to come visit someone in the hospital who's dour and sour and jaded at the world. They want to come visit someone who's, upbeat and positive and optimistic. And I am an optimistic guy, so I just harnessed that and put that lens on and looked at the glass half full, like I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Not fair that it happened to me, but I get a chance to navigate this and build back better now, and that's something I get to do. And I think that mindset shift of just like, no, I get to do this. Like the worst, no, the best. Like it's all about how you reframe things in life. Life's never going to be fair and never going to be this pleasant state of like I'm at an 8 all day and when I'm with my wife at 10. Like life's ups and downs.
Yeah.
But if you can keep yourself level and you can keep yourself focused on what you're accomplishing, your bigger goal, man, you can move mountains. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm out of the woods now. It's an uphill battle every day to get up and be intentional in my day, my practice. I meditate, I cold shower, I work out like a maniac. But it's to keep myself going strong, to keep myself moving forwards, because I've got a dream, I've got a purpose in life to navigate this and to share a message of hope. Because you get to do this, you get a chance to build your life up and to make yourself something, because the odds of being a human being are so small, right? Like someone said 14 zeros, that's a lot of zeros. But by reframing it, is it the worst? Like you can navigate this, you can build this back up. Like I could have been not able to walk. They told my parents I couldn't talk for the first few weeks, and they may not be a talker again. The way the nurse got me talking was she took me out of the park. Some kids playing football, soccer across the park. She goes, Dan, those kids across the park, they don't think you're good enough to talk, Dan. They don't think you're good enough to talk. And I found out pretty quickly that's a trigger for me. And I yelled across the park some profanities about your team today, but you can say I found my voice and what motivates me. Motivation is key to understand what motivates you as a person. And don't try to judge the motivation. It can be from a proving spiteful place of proving you wrong, or it could be service, or it could be proving someone right. But don't judge the motivation that comes. Ride the wave that comes, because they're so infrequent, and you can't be particular about what motivates me is, I'm only motivated by service or only motivated by proving you right. Harness all those waves, harness all those horses, I call them, and ride those waves out and just I'm riding until the wheels fall off now. I'm riding this wave down and let's go, baby.
That is unbelievable. I hope you gave that nurse a bouquet of flowers, because that must have been. She tricked you into.
Bold call on her part, but it worked well. Bold call on her part, but it worked well. My parents had built this little dossier on me that said who Dan was in the code. So Dan's a sportsman. Dan's a master's graduate. Dan's travels around Europe. Here's his girlfriend Demi. Like they gave me this dossier of who Dan is, and she read the sportsman. Oh, he's competitive. I can get him going. Competitive juices, right? So she took a stab with it. Bold stab on her part, but it worked out well. And I realized that's a motivating factor I still use today, proving you wrong. And it still works today. It's still I still love proving you wrong. But now I'm more service-based, because I noticed that when it's service-based, my success is your success is my success. It doesn't end when this interaction ends. It's continuous. It's not a start and stop like proving you wrong is. Because once I prove you wrong, the motivation disappears and dissipates. It was never there. But service, lend a hand, compassion-based service and motivation is a more long tail. I can harness that for longer periods of time and longer durations. But they're not mutually exclusive. You can harness both or all three and still pull yourself forward. So the best is to harness all that you can and pull yourself forward as fast as you can go. But that's just what I've learned from my experience.
And it's amazing. And now again, Rap, he is thinking about like you said that and I'm also wondering about this. Like you say that you see this as having been given a second life. And how, of course, it must have changed what you wanted to achieve, because you probably, I gather that as a 28-year-old you had some other plans than getting a brain hemorrhage and whatnot. Like, when did you realize that this was something, because you mentioned in the beginning that you wanted to do good, you wanted to give something and make people see life differently.
I think now I see life in a different lens. You kind of have to when you go through this experience. It changes your
Yeah,
perspective, right?
yeah.
Initially, I was chasing things in life that were, vanity metrics. Like, I want to make more money here, do this, chase more girls, things that were kind of periphery and more top level. And I realized when everything's taken away from you, the things that matter, like your purpose, your drive, when you look in the mirror, who you see as a person, as a man. And I want to be able to look in that mirror every day and be like, you know what? I stand by this guy. He's doing well. He's doing proper things here, living life with a good code and progressing well. So I just punted all the faff, punted all the stuff that maybe not important to me, not what drives me. And now I want to help you showcase that maybe your perspective is a bit off. Maybe you can change your perspective and life isn't so bad or so tough. Maybe it's a blessing to be here. Maybe it's an opportunity to improve and to build yourself back up. I get to do this. And it's not an easy shift to make. It's not an easy shift to adapt to, but life's pretty easy when you start punting the stuff that's out of your control. Control the controllables is what I say a lot. That's a Stoic philosophy. It's not mine. And Stoicism is quite important in my life now. I really believe this. Like, control the controllables. It's out of my control. I don't worry about it. If it's in my control, I adapt and manipulate it. But reframing that mindset is so key for this, right? Once the mindset goes, everything falls into place. It was always there. Get the mindset right and watch the world unfold to help you succeed.
But because you are a keynote speaker and you go places and you are doing stuff. You are a, could you consider yourself as an influencer?
I wouldn't say influencer, but a thought leader, maybe.
Yes.
No.
Okay, thought leader. Yes, may be better. But when you talk to people, is it different when you talk to people like, well, like me? Like, I am just, my jaw is just on the floor because your story is amazing, Dan, and you can't not be in awe of how and what you have achieved. So when you're speaking on stage in front of people, is there that silence, or like how do they perceive you? And then maybe if you have a second scenario where you maybe are visiting people who need this, who need to see you and say, like as you're saying, if I can, you can. It's a matter of changing perspective.
Yeah, so I'll give you two stories in this. I did these brain scans last year at a clinic in Vancouver, Canada, Surrey, BC, Canada, called Neuroscience, Neurotech Connect, to test my brain function. After 2 brain surgeries, see how it
Yeah.
goes. There's gel cap on your head, injected with gel, hooked up to some electrodes, ask you questions like light, window, microphone, coffee, computer, laptop. See if your synapses fire or not. My results came back as average. I've had 2 emergency brain surgeries. Average is pretty good, but I read this as shockingly average. Average? You telling me I'm average? Hell no, I'm not average. Look what I've been through. Average.
Uh-huh.
That. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that average is pretty good. It means I'm no better or smarter than you or anyone I speak to. I've just been driven to go forwards, toes over the nose of my board, riding this wave down. I'm no better or smarter than anyone I speak to. I've just been driven to go forwards. And that means that you can do this too. Now, the first part of your question was about when I speak to people in groups. The keynote speaking business started out of a keynote or a talk I gave to outpatients from my old rehab center in Wilson. And I give talks to outpatients to show them how to navigate life outside of the hospital. And the best feedback I ever got was one gentleman said, I talk about swimming a lot in my talks. It's a big part of exercise for me, low impact, breath, meditative, no distractions. And he goes, Dan, before the brain injury, I used to swim all the time. Since the brain injury, I don't swim because it takes so long to get ready to go in the pool. But since your talk, I'm going to try swimming again. That was the most profound piece of feedback I've ever gotten, because who knows if he started swimming again, maybe once and gave it up, but he might be swimming today. And when I got in the pool in those early days from the brain hemorrhage with my mom, it'd take me 45 minutes to get changed, in the pool for 10 minutes, and then 45 minutes to get changed after that. So maybe like 5-10 lengths tops. Now I'm doing 60, 70, 80 lengths in the pool. And I'm burning up that angst, getting in my body, getting in my mind, getting my breath. But you got to start somewhere and start small. And it's not going to seem like a big deal at the time, but it compounds. Week after week, month after month, year after year. I've been tracking my swims for probably the past 5 years, and I've got a stack of notes on my phone that say, 60 and 63 or 58 and 34 lengths in time in the pool I was in. So I swam in a 25-meter pool here, but in London, I was in a 50-meter pool outside, a beautiful pool. And I just do that week after week, month after month, year after year. But you got to start small and build up. You can't, how do you eat an elephant? You don't do it in one bite. You eat it piece by piece. Not that I'm advocating eating elephants, but like the idea and the knowledge is there, right? But it's just a small winnable target you can hit, and you scale from there. And you grow and you improve. Better than yesterday, something I speak about in my talks and in my vibe. Everything in my life can be better than yesterday. Everything can be improved and tinkered with and modified to wring out the most I can do and be. But you have to try. You have to make a decision to try. Trying is the most important bit. If you don't try, I don't know if I can help you, because only by pushing failure can you risk that and improve. One last story, and I'll turn it back over to you. So I used to shower with a Batman in London to keep me balanced in the shower. Every day I hang the Batman up in my bathroom, and it would drain in the bathtub. I go to work and I come back and see this Batman in the morning. I'd be like, Dan, you're not good enough to stand in the bath. You can't stand in the shower by yourself. You need this Batman. The symbol that I'm not good enough to shower. And one day I decided, you know what? I don't need this bloody bath mat anymore. I'm not using it. Told my parents, oh no, damn, the doctor said you need to use the bath mat. So I'm not using the bloody bath mat anymore. Next day I didn't use the bath mat, and guess what? I was just fine. So I retired the bath mat. Only by risking failure can you improve. Only by risking stepping out of line can you improve it and scale yourself up. I used to walk with a cane. Everywhere. I came back to Vancouver one visit a couple years ago. Forgot the cane in London, and guess what? I was just fine, so I retired the cane. But by risking that failure, by putting myself out there to fail and to fall on my face, literally, could I take steps forward? Now, do this in a safe way. Don't be doing crazy stuff and blaming me for this, please. But only by risking failure can you improve. By putting yourself out there and put yourself in a position where you may not succeed, can you really grow and develop? And that's a mentality you got to take on board.
Well, my thought when you were talking about the bath mat and the cane, I was just thinking, what is the worst that can happen, which has not already happened? Because, okay, you could fall on your face, you could break your nose, but you will stand up again. It's just, well, as you say, if you don't try it, isn't it? You have to, like when you are learning to ride a bike, you have these little thingies, and then you take one off, and then you take the second off, and then you can ride the bike. It's just awesome to hear you say this. But how is it that when you do this stuff, and I'm thinking about me versus you. If we both would go to a person who has had maybe same experience as you, or they have had a trauma, who would, like, when back then, did you listen to those who were in normal condition? Like, did you take advice? Like, okay, the nurse, she saw something, and she saw the competitiveness in you, and she said, like, but she didn't have to say, like, she just said, "Oh, look at the kids. Do you think that they know that you can't speak, or how he? Do you know what I mean?"
I think so. I think you need to find out what drives you and lean into that. It may not be the same for me, but it's whatever fires you up, whatever drives you forward, and lean into that motivation, right? Proving you wrong is a big part of my vibe, and it still is today.
Yeah.
But I harness all these different types of motivation now. It's not just one and done, it's of all of them, and they pull you together further, faster. But be true to yourself, be authentic, and like lean into what motivates you and let that drive you forward. Don't try to be someone to someone else. Like, you know yourself better than anyone else, right? In terms of self-development and stuff, I think now much more so than I was in the past. Podcasts, thought leadership. I'm friends with a lot of keynote speakers now that are quite profound and really revolutionary in what they speak about. And I'm really more susceptible to taking on board what they learn, because I realize that these hacks, these ways of approaching life can make a big difference. Maybe more so than I believed before, because I know what it's like to have everything taken away, to be on the mat, like, on the 10 count in the boxing ring, and it's getting up to 9. Am I getting up? I don't know. But I gotten up and I keep getting up. And I don't know, it's helped me. And I think, if you would ask my doctors if they'd be in a position I'm today, they wouldn't believe you for a second. So I'm a testament to a lot of help. A lot of the doctors were phenomenal in London and also in Vancouver. Friends and family were there to buoy me up and support me. And if I didn't have that help, I wouldn't be here today, quite frankly. But in conjunction with that help, like I got to believe in myself that I can do this, and I got to try. That's the most important bit. If you're having a tough time, like, just try to be better than yesterday. Try to be 1% better than you were yesterday, and then that compounds after days, weeks, and months of trying and working. That's 365 over the course of the year. But you got to try. And better than yesterday is a pretty damn good vibe to live by.
Yeah. Because time flies when you're having fun, Dan. So maybe I will share this question with you, because Rap, and probably me as well, we and he sometimes have these questions that I think about. Because we are getting close to the end of this conversation. Do you feel that has this experience made you a better and more, in somewhat way, optimistic person? Before, like, do you remember when you were before? And
Look, I've always been an optimistic guy, glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah.
But this experience has for sure made me believe in that mentality to navigate this, because if I wasn't positive, I don't know if I'd be here today. If I got down the Woolsby pity spiral, I don't know if I'm here today. I've chosen not to go down that path. I've chosen to look at the bright side, to take what I've been given and to navigate this as best as I can. Optimism is how I live this life. And I believe that's how you can navigate this successfully. If you go down that pity spiral, I don't know how you get back up from there, because I never went down that pity spiral. I bit it off before it got too bad. The worst I ever said was, I wish this didn't happen to me. I don't complain about things. I don't whinge about my life day to day. It's not easy to do my life this day, like with the eye patch, with all this other stuff. But where does that get you, right? Like, it's not going to help you be better. It's just, you're just whinging about stuff that's out of your control. So I take what's controllable to me and I navigate that. And if it's not in my control, I punt it immediately. I keep it simple, keep it forward, keep it positive.
Well, some people might. You could say that you are a sexy mofo, like with the iPad. So like that's also.
It's certainly a look, isn't it? It's certainly a look.
Yes, but Rapasi, he says, I think we all set limits, and he says you are truly inspiring as you break through your limit, and he thanks you. So is there anything like how is your life today? You have your own apartment, you are keynote speaker, or like how is your life, and how do you see? Are you living like some people live day by day, or are you living month by month, or are you living year by year? You never know because you are in this shitty now. No, no, you turned it into something real. Like you are such an inspiring person. Like where are you at today, and how do you see your life in 1 year, 5 years?
So
Do you
I'm back
do?
in Vancouver, Canada now.
Yeah.
I'm moving back with my parents. So I was in London for 10 years after this happened, and got back on my feet there, back to work, and navigated this change there. Um, but I'm a keynote speaker hell bent on making a difference in this world and changing your perspective. And I think that drives me forward every day. Every day is not easy to navigate. I got fatigue issues. You know, I say I'm about 75% of who I was before. Bandwidth, patience, fatigue levels are always apparent. And I've got strategies to mitigate those and to navigate this change successfully through trial and error, through failing many times. I fail all the time now. I'm not afraid about failing because failing for me is first attempt in learning, as my friend Rial says. And I'm always tinkering and modifying things and just trying to push through. I'm pushing, 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 and I'm not going to stop pushing. So it's in terms of where I want to be, more consistent speaker, booking gigs more consistently, making an impact and changing perspective. Getting those wide eyes expressions when I speak is always impactful and meaningful to me. I love knowing that I can make a difference in this world and change your perspective and show you the way out is through. Because truly it is. The way out is through.
You are optimistic that you will be here a long time yet, and you will. I share this belief with you because I am just you can hear I'm just like wow, you have it's unbelievable where you are at, Dan.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of help, a lot of support from friends and family, and a testament to this hard work. Hard work works. Just
Yeah.
keep grinding. Keep like every day I'm grinding here, right? It's not easy to do this. I know you're not complaining about things, but I'm grinding. I'm pushing things forward. I'm making this work. I'm going to make it happen through pure will, determination, and just blind stubbornness. I'm going to make this happen. And reminder that you get to do this. You know, the odds of being a human being are 400 trillion to 1.
Yeah.
You get in that bout with this. Don't wish it away because you had something, someone said something mean to you, or like, don't worry about the small shit, right? Like, what matters to you? What's important in your life? Focus on that. Focus on what you can control and get after it.
This is a great way to end a great session, Dan. And now running on the screen is your website, mcqueendan.com. And I urge people to go there. I like just, you are, if anyone, if I would make a rating of all those people I have been talking to, boy, oh boy, you win by a landslide because this is so inspiring. And as you say, okay, life throws at you curveballs. And it's what you do, how you react, how you look at it, and how you take the next step. And the first step is always the hardest, but then you just have to continue.
You just got to continue and just keep. It's 0 to 1 so difficult to get off the mat and moving. Once you get moving, it's easy to keep things going.
Yeah.
Momentum is so key, but just take that first step and just take the next step and keep following up with steps. Before you know it, you'll be halfway down the road. That's like, take the first step and just try.
That is so true. And oh, you boy, oh boy, man, you are such an inspiration. And I'm sad that I have to finish this because I really want to talk to you. We have to make a Dan 2.0 conversation in the future because we have to follow you because you are absolutely a humongous star, if I may say so.
It's been a pleasure being on your show, and apologies for being a few minutes late. I was on the wrong link, so my fault.
No, well, I thought my best thoughts were okay. He's getting his coffee now. It's so early in Vancouver, but I just want to say, like, thank you. But next inspiring conversation will be in a week's time. It will be pre-recorded, but I'm talking to Laura Watson, another Canadian, and we will be talking about mastering the art of goal setting, transforming vision into reality. Harmonizes well with this talk, I think. And just I want to finish this off with these three things. Be curious, be interested, be inspired. And I thank whoever brought us together, Dan, because you are a amazing person and just keep up the good work. And I urge everyone to check your work and just, my oh boy. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Dan.
It's been a pleasure to be here, brother. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and